You belong to me.
It's June 15th, 2012. The lilacs are being festive, and I'm having a great time. My purple mohawk has pleased the boss because I promised it would grow back by Monday. And this is Make and Break.
Bob Wood, National Program Director of the Chum Group, worked with us in producing...
Hold up, before we get started...
Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming? Guess who's coming?
Dan Calvin.
Back again! Who is he? Just your favorite DJ Savior. Using and confusing beats that you never heard. 1990. Put a smile on your face like ultra bright.
You're just fessing, man. I don't even want to hear about it.
You're listening to Make and Break Radio on RadioMackinac.org. Welcome to Make and Break Radio on RadioMackinac.org. I'm your host, Daniel Calvin. This is episode 71. Hotter, bigger, louder than ever. This weekend spells the end of this year's Lilac Festival, and I and everyone I've spoken to has had a great time. The weather has been decent, if a bit cool, and the activities, food shows, and wine tastings have been a big hit with tourists and locals alike. Hopefully I can keep the trend going with 2 hours of fun music suitable for such a great weekend. Enjoy! This episode of Make and Break Radio has been brought to you by Hangouts. Hangouts, bringing like-minded people together since 2 million BC. When you need a meeting place with your interests in mind, find a Hangout. Call anytime, 1-800-HANGOUT. That's 1-800-HANGOUT. For a get-together spot near you, specializing in caves, tree houses, fast food parking lots, and our specialty, Old Man Hanrahan's front stoop, call Hangouts today. I keep seeing t-shirts being worn on the island that state Lake Michigan. Unsalted. Kinda stupid, just like most slogan shirts, but it made me ponder salt mines and how just a few hundred feet under lower Lake Michigan and Lake Erie, separated only by a few hundred feet of clay and rock, are enormous underground salt mines. That layer removed would change the Great Lakes to the Silly Seas. Utah would be ashamed. Well-formed orthodontia is key to a healthy smile. Or so they tell me. It stands to reason, I guess. A mouthful of disorder would be difficult to keep tidy, like a house full of knickknacks requiring constant dusting. This disorder could indeed lead to disorders, I imagine. Something occurs to me, though, that leans towards the contrary view of acquiring and maintaining precise orthodontic alignment. I've noticed an unusual number of mouths whose teeth are too perfect. 20-some pearly white chiclets all in 2 perfect rows. We all want to keep our own teeth all of our own lives, but I feel that there has been some loss in uniqueness and individuality. Couldn't teeth be straightened just to the point of orthodontically acceptable, rather than to the point of perfection? How about just straight enough, rather than lined up like an albino 7th Cavalry? I'll dismiss the notion that orthodontists are just out to make a buck and that they'll keep you on their patient list as long as it's possible to help pay off the new boat. I say this because I believe the vast majority of orthodontists are well-intentioned professionals with a penchant for making sure that when we fold a piece of bologna in half and take a bite out of the center, the resulting meat ring has a lovely symmetric corrugation. Who doesn't want that? The other thing that I ponder regarding this alignment conundrum is the possibility that terrifically terraformed teeth could become the new normal. This just makes those with less than stellar chopper configuration more conspicuous. How is this affecting their self-image? Could neighbors with darned fine dentine actually I wrote that as damned fine dentine, have an impact on the psyches of the impressionable, just like Barbie and the fashion industry manipulate young people's body image. I saw a smile today that was far from perfect, but still beautiful, still dentally manageable. Could this trend spell the demise of originality? Only time will tell. Well, that and a number of orthodontic offices. Folks around town call me Deep Thought Dan. My first reaction to that is, that's dumb. Insert badum-tish here. A few weeks ago, in a matter of 5 days, I had 4 different women that I had been chatting up ask me if I smoked grass. No, I said. Every one of them responded with the same disappointed look. Oh, they'd say. With a few of them, I even wasted my breath explaining that I didn't mind if others partook, but that it just wasn't for me. One of these 4 actually took me up on my offer to hang out on another time, but she too wound up being like the rest. Gone. This can bother a guy, and I did let it bother me for a bit, but I soon realized that these women assumed that by my demeanor that I was stoned 24/7, and that therefore I was a hookup for their party of fun times. Well, too bad for them, I say. Hold on, I'm gonna grab a smoke. Well, too bad for them, I say. They're missing out on a whole lot. Some of you have heard my rants from a year ago, feeling sorry for myself and using introspection as a weapon of self-destruction. But that guy is dead. In fact, he did self-destruct. Like the Phoenix, new Dan replaced the old Dan. I'm happy to share my ideas now. The fact that I have ideas at all is a good sign. As for those 4 ladies, I should say girls, that opted out of Danorama, I may not smoke, but I'll never forget driving around in the mighty Dodge 15 years ago with my buddies, tripping balls, reminding me that I was not well suited to the acid. I was already goofy enough, they said. I'm proud to call those guys buddies, and damn it, I now agree. I may not smoke, but I know that I can hang out with folks rocked out of their gourds. If you can't hang out with me while stoned, then it's your loss. And it's your own intolerance. Smoke a doob, I don't mind. Just don't tell me I'm harshing your mellow. And that's your own problem to deal with. 2001 was named by the kids in the mix of Mackinac 2000 and fun. 2002 was 2000 and Lou. 2003 was known as 2000 and C. The list goes on from there, and that tradition wasn't lost with me for 2012. I've pondered what kids in the Mackinac mix are calling this summer, but I've been stumped for a few weeks now, because it seems as though not many words rhyme with 12, as there are words that rhyme with orange, say. At least, that was the case for a few weeks, but that all ended this afternoon. I am inspired to eschew the rhymes and just say what I see. I've seen this summer so far, I can honestly say that I've never seen in the numbers that I have. I forgot a word in there someplace, but we'll just ignore that. 1 or 2, maybe. Maybe a traveling group of pals, but I've never seen in the quantities that I've observed recently. And I keep saying the same things. Nonetheless, I was sober when I wrote this. This year will be, at least for me, 20 tattooed. I'm amazed by the numbers of heavily, and I mean heavily tattooed women that I have seen in the last few weeks. I'm not talking about a tramp stamp here or a shoulder blade angel wings there, and a collection of Cantonese characters that spell out literally mountain pie live sheep. No, I mean full sleeves and chest pieces, hands, neck, face. What's more, none of them have looked like helly hell. They have been true artwork. I haven't seen so many tattooed ladies since the last time I attended the Portage County Fair. Then again, I also haven't seen any serpent-bodied ladies since then either. That being the case, I look forward to next summer because I'm sure you can imagine I'm into that scene. Serpent-bodied ladies. What I find interesting about this recent observation is that it seems completely out of the blue. There wasn't a buildup of a growing trend. I didn't observe sleeved ladies in increasing numbers over the last few years. Like I mentioned earlier, I saw a few ladies with certain subculture every year. No biggie. This year, it's as if the tattoo parlor had a Mackinac Island Help Wanted ads hanging next to the Von Franco drawing. Oh, I'll get the 4-speed shifting demon, and maybe I'll get a job too, they'd say. I've admired such a commitment for a long time. There was a regular customer at Holmesbrook that always wore a pearl-buttoned checked shirt and a Stetson. The thing about it was that no matter how hot it was that day, his cuffs were always snapped closed. Well, one day it was blazing, just over 100 degrees, and his sleeves were up, exposing some of the most interesting color I had ever seen to that point. All the staff was curious enough that the questions started flying. It turns out that he had spent 20 years in cattle ranching business, as a wrangler, as a consultant, what have you. He traveled all over the world caring for cattle in exotic places like Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and Switzerland. Everywhere he went, he'd buy a tattoo relevant to the job or the location. He said he was covered from wrist to wrist, neck to navel. The store manager asked to see. With a bit of trepidation, he acquiesced and revealed some beautiful art. From his time spent in India, he had Vishnu's, or whatever her name is, the goddess on his back with all the arms. There were traditional tribal dots, 8-headed blue elephants adorned with jewels. His body helped tell the story of his life. I guess I hope that this current crop of sleeved ladies have just as interesting stories to tell.